Hello everybody, now it's happy it's kind of late. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. So if you want to make a good spellblade, there's two main things you want to do. First off is have some skilling in faith so that you can cast a golden vow, flame grant me strength, or any other battling spell. The ones I recommend is Golden Vow and Black Flame Protect Me, which gives physical damage negation, and everything that's physical in this game, in one way or another. If we're going with a Spellblade build, the weapon I recommend personally is either the Zweihander, because it's the frickin' Zwei, or Royal Greatsword. Royal Greatsword has worse intelligence scaling than the Zwei, however has space strength scaling. In my opinion, you only need around 8. You only need 80 intelligence because you only need 80 intelligence and around 40 faith. This allows you to use Prince of Death Staff and Golden Order Seal. If you want, you can put those points into Arcane, however, I would not recommend it. This is assuming you started with Samurai, which is literally the best starting class. Why would you not use it? Oh! It's also really good at killing these guys, because I mean, that exists. Personally, the set I recommend is with, I would recommend around 50 endurance if you're going with this setup, because this requires pretty heavy armor. One of the easiest ways to kill these guys is literally to wrap around them, because their turn speed is so incredibly slow that you can crit them quite easily. However, I'm going to get into the basics of using Royal Greatsword. For the basics, there's a combo I would like to note. This is also possible on the Zwei. I just don't use it because its scaling is lower. Yes, it weighs less. I thinking no. So you can use the same on Zweihander, which it is a light attack into a heavy attack. Zwei comes out a bit faster and has a piercing attack. Royal, however, is very jank because it's like, oh, hit me. If they roll, you might actually roll catch them. Problem with the strategy is you kind of have to predict when they're gonna roll. As for weapons I recommend, you want either Royal Greatsword if you have the stats, or Alabaster Lords, or if you really want to, you can do Dark Moon. I personally wouldn't recommend it. Yes, it does do a ton of damage, but I mean, it's literally the Moonlight Greatsword. For granted, magic doesn't deserve the reputation it has. It is one of the best classes, yes, but it has some of the coolest weapons. Like, shooting out, it's literally just Like, this is literally just... This has some of the... Like, this does some of the best damage. Like, when you do a charged heavy, the projectile's damage doesn't change, but the physical blade does. When both hit simultaneously, you're getting a ton of frost buildup. Do note, however, the buff needs to be refreshed quite often because it runs out. It runs out quick. Anyway, back to the Royal Greatsword. This thing has a few combos I'd like to mention, which is just spamming crouching attack, which is kind of slow, but does really good damage. Comes out quick, but does do good damage. However, the one I personally recommend is straight up just is the light into the heavy. Because of the janky animations, using this rock as an example, it can reach the loot drop while normal attacks can't reach the loot drop. But the hitbox on the heavy is bigger for some reason. You can also kind of behead these guys. The two things I personally recommend is Determination or Lion's Claw on Slyhander, or if you're really enthusiast, the great Gutses. Gutses, I personally don't recommend. Guts, it has its fair share of issues. Like, Guts shares the heaviest with the Ruins Greatsword, which is a problem because, like, yeah. Anyway, no time.